when we disregard the importance of whistle stops to the campaigns of people who are telling us what to do with our reprehensions, then we take 2 or 6 or any number of peanuts from the mouths of the encephalopatrists that are trying to chart the course of phrenology over the historical diaphaneses that create the symptoms that we're going to collect into a very handsomely bound compilation. And when you leaf through it at a coffee table symposium, you're going to say, I think that these facing pages should have been placed in a different order because that would make the spread more amenable to publication inside the journals of the people who don't like stamping 2 kinds of different bicuspids on their ankles. And it's going to be a long time because you can't take somebody who's remembered all of the things that looked like waffles inside of their charts and their diagrams that they made in college, and you have another person who kept very discrete records and put one record inside a Cincinnati hostelry and put another record inside a small woman's haberdashery in Detroit. And you take these people and you put them into the same column and you say, if they interact, we're going to have to light a fuse that's going to go off in 10 or 20 years and it's going to make them like guacamole. And those people who have no intention of enjoying any kind of garnish or any kind of thing that you would put on a chip, they could say it's a political act, or they could say it's an act from which politics derives. And if you can say that the source of politics is the same thing as politics, then you have to admit that a child is just a basket full of weasel-headed ideologies. And those things that you might plant inside a child's referendum would then become the adult membership in a city council that might pass laws against two-handed backpacking. So what we're going to have to say, and everybody's going to have to collectively come to a decision on this, is that if you see that something is festering with worms and you don't put it on a calendar, then it's never going to get gotten to. You're never going to find a way to eject worms from the scrofula unless you have it scheduled. And to take scheduling lackadaisically is the kind of sin that we're often arrayed against when we become the polyamorous rifling through, whatever you call the person who rifles through files trying to find orange labels. And those people, when they have their, collated rye battery, want to say, I think these labels should represent courage, and I think that the green labels should represent the people who never call their friends back on messages that have mentioned any kind of baking soda. And the times in which your friends are going to call and mention different things that you can cook with and different cleaning products, those times can be counted on, let's say, 18 hands. And if you have a person who has 18 hands and can count on them, then you need to elect that person to a position of responsibility, because the ways in which they can collate their experiences against the madness of the crimes that are committed by the people who are half as tall as the elephants that made the charge against the Botswanans so unsuccessful. And we like this. We like to take the measure of the people who stand along the parapets, and we like to say, I am not parapettery, or I am not pro-parapet. And if you retreat from the parapets, then you are a parapet rejecter. And those kinds of people aren't thought of as management material. And the truth is that the management that could be extracted from that population sample might actually vote for a more sterling kind of garroterie that you see in the times of assassins that like to wear gold-plated hand ornaments. So what we have to say is, do peanuts count as crockery? Do legumes count as little ankle bracelets? And if you're going to hang trinkets from an ankle bracelet, you're going to have to write your name down in the ledger of people who carelessly adorn their bodies with frippery. And we can't have that unless we make room in the Politburo for creativity, and we make the room for people to dance around with any of the 7 favorite articles of clothing that they wrote in their intentionalities when they cross the border. Then you can say, oh, this is going to build to something. This is going to create a boundary around the dullness that was seeping through our hair wash. And to rice, paddy, all of these concerns, so that you have a terrace upon which your apprehension is built into little carrots and other kinds of rhubarb. And then you have a lower terrace into which you can say satisfaction becomes crepes. Then the breakfasts that you can make on these different terraces are sort of a location of intentionality and a location of the mental state that can be indicated by what elevation of food you choose to inhabit. Thanks for listening. Comments welcome.